Hey, hello, what's up? It's Chet Zar here with another episode of the Dark Art Society podcast. Today is episode 147, I think. Nathan Reidt, which is weird to say because I've been reading it as Reidt, but it's actually pronounced Reidt, he said. It's R-E-I-D-T. Anyway, he's really a great artist. I love his stuff. It's really weird and excellent. So I was happy to have him on. And we had a good conversation. And we have similar similar backgrounds working in the film industry and then hating it and then leaving to do our own art. So that was kind of fun to talk about. Anyway, so before we get into it, let's see what's going on with me here. I quit smoking, so that's good. The easiest time I've ever quit. Well, I didn't quit 100%. I quit smoking cigarettes, but I am smoking this Juul a little bit, only when I get a craving for nicotine. So it's, it's hardly anything. And I was having trouble with. I'm taking this class, this meditation online class at magic.me, which I highly recommend. And there were some breathing exercises, and I was like, man, I am having trouble with these breathing exercises. So okay, that was the thing I needed to get me to quit, I suppose. So it's been 6 days, and like I said, it hasn't been difficult this time, which is weird. I've quit before using a vape and a Juul vape, and it's been hard before, but I think it's because I've been really, really good with my meditation and a lot more disciplined with it. So I'm seeing big positive effects in my life since I've been practicing this stuff. So that's just one of many things. So there's that, and let's see, I'm just working on commissions still the book, getting the tool posters ready. Okay, tool posters will be released. The LA poster and the Pittsburgh poster, I'm going to release doodled, signed by me, signed by the band, posters. I'm going to release them next week. This weekend I have a tattoo convention, the Golden State Tattoo Convention in Pasadena. It's Nico Hurtado's tattoo convention, and I'm going to have a booth there this weekend. So this week I'm going to be getting ready for that. And then next week I will release the prints, and they will be released on my Patreon, which is patreon.com/ChetZar first. And then anything that's still left will be released to the public after that. So, I guess, I have t-shirts too of the images, the tool from the tool gigs. Okay, so I will be releasing a day and a time when that's going to happen. I got to figure that out, actually, maybe tomorrow. Today's Tuesday. Yeah, today's Tuesday. I'm recording this intro on Tuesday. Then I'm going to post it. Then tomorrow this is the early. Oh, God, I can't think straight. I'm recording the intro now. I am posting it for the early edition. If you want to hear the early edition, if you're not hearing this early and you want to hear the early edition next week or the week after that, you can join our Patreon, which is Dark Art Society. Patreon.com/Dark Art Society. And you can join for as little as $1 a month and get in our secret Facebook group and our new website, which is still being upgraded and made better and better, and it's really cool. For when Facebook goes the way of MySpace, we will still have a home base for the Dark Art Society movement. Oh, here's the other thing I wanted to mention. We're trying to get Mike Carell, the guy, my guy who I started this podcast with, who left, but he also did the Chet Zar I Like to Paint Monsters documentary. We're trying to get that on Netflix through a grassroots movement. So if I'm in the description of this podcast, there is a link to suggest new titles to Netflix. So if you wouldn't mind doing that, I would appreciate it, because as much as the I Like to Paint Monsters has gotten really great reviews, I haven't heard a bad thing about it other than it's too short, which is a pretty good as far as criticisms go. It's still kind of flying under the radar because you can only get it on iTunes for rent, and my website, and through our distributor First Run Features as a DVD. So we're trying to get it on Netflix just so more people can see it. I mean, this is not like a movie that any of us are going to ever make money on. I don't think you make money from everyone I've talked to that makes documentaries. You don't really make money from documentaries, but we want the movie to be seen. So we're trying to get it on Netflix. So if you can just go click that link in the description and suggest Chet Zar, I Like to Paint Monsters, then if enough people hit Netflix up, then it'll get on there. And that would be cool for millions of people to be able to see it. That would be kind of amazing. Okay, so that's that. Let's see. Okay. 5 questions. Get these over with. Alicia Zaringo, what can we all do, being so spread apart, to collaborate together and create a collective of sorts? That is anyone's guess. But, if you're not feeling part of a collective, then make your own collective. Start shows. Link up with other artists online. Sometimes if you don't, the thing that if the group that is out there doesn't exist, the group that you want, if the group that you want is not out there, then create it yourself. And that means extra work on your end, but hey, that's the way it goes. It's an opportunity too if it doesn't exist, because you could make it exactly how you want it. Someone's got to head these things up. As far as dark art goes, I always imagined, not that I don't know that this is going to happen, but I always thought a cool way for the dark art thing to happen would be little chapters in every city, little scenes in every city. Everyone has their own little dark art scene. But of course, this applies to any kind of art that you're doing. It doesn't have to be dark art. Nathan Reidt, who I'm interviewing in this podcast, is part of the whole Philly dark art scene, which is this pretty cool Philly dark art scene. Who'd have thunk? I think it's maybe a little tighter and more organized than like New York or any other big city that I could think of that has a dark art scene. I mean, maybe not LA, just because LA's got like 3 dark art galleries, but it's Philly it's got an amazing dark art scene, and I think that they are kind of like an example of what other cities around the country should be. I mean, there's got to be other dark artists in just about every town, I imagine. At least I hope. So if you're a dark artist or any artist and your scene doesn't exist, then create it, manifest it, make it happen. It's up to you. Okay. And then when you link up with other artists, then you discuss ideas of how to get out there, how to make noise, how to get attention with your work, you know? Okay. Johnny Weiss. I always like to know what an artist's most meaningful piece is and why it carries more weight than other work. So I'm assuming you're directing that at me. I probably should have thought about this first. Yeah. You know, my black magic is my fallback, I guess. That painting that's the magic painting for me. That was the turning point painting for me, and it came out of nowhere, popped in my head as if by magic. So I attribute kind of like a spiritual purpose to that painting. That's the one. I mean, that is the one for me. And it's because, like I said, because it came out of nowhere. It was fully formed in my head. When it popped in my head, I wasn't thinking about anything. It was like zapped in my head, like from an alien or from some higher force. And it was one of my most popular paintings, probably my most popular character I've ever painted. And, you know, I'm still, the story of dystopia, as when the dystopia book, the guidebook is done, then I'll be able to create some work about the story of dystopia. The book itself is a guidebook. It's not really a story. It's more like, here's what these things are, like a guidebook. But you know, black magic's going to be a primary character when we get to the story aspect of dystopia. He's kind of, I'm not going to say anything. So yeah, that's why, and it's black magic, and that's why. I have other ones that are, you know, personally, you know, I did one that was kind of about when my dad died, and one with my mother-in-law died that was kind of about that. And so there's ones that are personal to me in that way. So they all have different reasons for being favorites, but I mean, I like most of my paintings, probably 99% of them. There might be 1% that I don't really like. And I'm not going to say what those ones are. Because people might like them, and then I don't want to insult them. But I like most of them. If I wouldn't let them get out in the world if I didn't like them. And the ones I don't like are probably older ones where I didn't really know what I was doing. Okay, that's two. Did I ask this one? I'm coming down to my last 5 questions, so I'm gonna have to ask for some more. Or maybe stop doing this if you don't want to hear it. Vaughn Belak, what effect does music you listen to while you work have in your art? Did I answer that one before? It sounds familiar. I'm going to answer it again because I don't have that many questions left to choose from. You know, music functions the same way that documentaries and movies do for me when it comes to painting. Like when I listen to music, I don't like putting music on. Well, sometimes I do. That's not true. So there are 2 ways I listen to music. There's the way where you kind of put it on the background, which I don't do that often. When we're working, doing, you know, shipping and all that stuff, we put music on in the background. But the way I listen to music ever since I was a kid, like I sit down and I listen to music and I read the words. I used to read the liner notes. I mean, I come from the days of vinyl when, you know, that's how you got a record. It was a big vinyl thing, and you could read the liner notes and know who the producer was and who wrote the songs and who wrote the lyrics, and you could read all the lyrics, and it was like, you know, an all-day affair when you got a new album. You sit there and read the words and get into it. And so when I listen to music now, I listen to it like that. Like I sit and I listen to it, and I think about it, and I think about what's being played here. I mean, I'm also a musician, so I've got a certain amount of knowledge about music. Not that much, mostly intuitive, but I'm pretty into music, so I'm able to pick things apart and go, oh, that's interesting, the way they did that change there, and blah blah blah. But the way that I listen to it, the way it affects my artwork when I'm painting is the way that putting a movie on does, which is it's like it occupies my thinking mind. So I can like listen to music and I'll get kind of wrapped up into listening to it, and then when I paint, it's just kind of happening. It's like in the same way that focusing on your breathing when you're meditating occupies your mind, so that it blanks out. All your attention's focused on your breathing so that you're not thinking, which is the goal of meditation. And it's like that with music for me, or listening to movies when I paint. It occupies that part of my brain so I can just paint and not think too much. So that's how music affects me while I listen to it while I'm working. Alex Fitch, can we have a street team, please? That's a great idea, street team. I'm not sure what that would entail, but, if someone wants to do that, I'll facilitate that. How about that? I'm just, I'm kind of just barely holding everything all together as far as the Dark Art Society. So anybody who wants to jump in, hit me up. 3, that was 4. Okay. Mike Carell, if you were beginning as an artist in the current climate of social media, what would be your number one piece of advice? Well, I would, you know what? Okay. I would say make sure your work is good enough to be shown to hundreds of people or thousands of people. Because if you're successful, eventually you'll get hundreds or thousands of people looking at your profile. And then if you have a bunch of subpar work that's up online, and okay, so imagine you start off and you're not very good, because no one starts off very good. That's, most of us. Then you practice, you can bust your ass and become amazing. You could become the best. If you have all that work from when you weren't very good, it's not the best way to present yourself. So I think the big thing is really making sure that your work is up to par with other artists that you think are great. You got to be honest and compare yourself. That would be the number one thing, I think. After that, it would be like consistency of posting, consistency of your messaging, your artwork. Anyway, okay, that's 5 questions. That's enough. I was sick of listening to my voice before I even started this introduction, so you can imagine after 20 minutes how I feel. All right, this is it. I hope you enjoy it. Nathan Reidt. Here it is. What's up, Nathan?
Not much.
Thanks for coming on the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I appreciate it. Fucking love your work. So fucking great. I love it. I'm telling you. I love it. I think, God, I'm not sure where I saw it for the first time. But
Yeah, I'm curious.
Steve Clef, I know, is who suggested I have you on the podcast, and then he sent me a link, and I was like, oh my god, this stuff's amazing, and I know I've seen it before. I just wasn't maybe, I don't know, putting the name to the image or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I haven't been out there for too long.
Oh no, how long you been
I mean,
showing?
I have. I've been around for a long time, but I haven't been doing this sort of stuff or, like showing my work and all of that. So it's pretty easy to skip over me. Uh,
Well,
like I said, we've met
right.
years ago when I was living in LA through Bay at like Corey Helford opening.
Oh yeah, yeah. I knew you
One
looked
of those.
familiar.
A few openings. We just kind of hang out and chat and stuff.
Yeah.
I was still just kind of like fucking around and learning how to paint and just kind of doing different stuff. So,
Hmm.
it makes sense.
So, how long did you live in LA for?
Well, uh, I've lived there two different times.
Oh,
Uh, so I started in the film industry in 2003, 2002.
oh wow.
And I was only there for a little while, a couple years or something, and then I went up to the Bay Area,
Oh shit, I didn't
and
know that.
then, you know, did a bunch of stuff, and then moved back to Washington for a while, and then got divorced and moved back to California, and then was I was living downtown for like, a year or
Oh,
so, and that's when we met. So
so you've
just
been,
kind of all over the place.
yeah. And
Not too much time in LA.
where are you at now?
Now I'm in Philly.
Right. Okay. So you're with that Philly contingent, sort of.
Yeah, so that's how Steve Clef comes into play.
Right.
It's funny, he had told me that he was chatting with you and recommended you have me on the show, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. I didn't know Chet knew who I was. But, it's
No,
exciting.
your stuff's amazing, man. It's that was kind of the weird. It's every once in a while I'll interview an artist for this show, and it's like, why isn't this person massively famous? Because your work is so original and it's just so well done. Obviously, you're not faking it. You know what I mean? It's like you know what you're doing. You can tell
Yeah,
from the artwork. You know what you're
it's
doing.
definitely unique, I guess.
Yeah, and it's like it fills to me. It fills all the ticks all the boxes for what really great dark art is all about. For me, I mean, that's kind of you know everyone's got kind of a different criteria maybe, but for me, it's
Yeah.
just like it hits all the things. It's got the it's creepy, it's weird, it's fucked up, it's really well drawn or well technically well executed. It's got a sense of mystery to it, and I just dig it, man. I really dig it.
Yeah. Well, thanks. I mean, I try and do a lot of that stuff.
Well, it
You
comes
can only
across.
you can only be so intentional with your art, though. It's like
Definitely.
no matter what you do, something's gonna come through that you have no control over. So
Yeah. And then you get to take credit for it at the end. You're like, yeah, I meant to do that.
totally planned out. That was all me. Uh,
So what?
yeah, and I pretty much wing everything.
Mm,
I just start it all from scratch, usually without much of a plan, and
oh, cool.
kind of do it until it's done, and then there it is. But
Yeah. You just keep messing with it until it looks finished, kind of.
totally, yeah. I mean, sometimes I'll work on something for like over a year because
Wow.
I'll not like full time, but
Right.
I'll set it aside and just don't know where to go with it. Has to just sit there for a long time, and I stare at it,
Hmm.
throughout time, and like absorb and
Yeah.
really get back to it, and
I just
something clicks.
I just posted on my Patreon like I do these little pro tips whenever I think of think of them. And I posted one the other day about giving yourself time to just sit and look at your work. And sometimes it really, you have to put it across the room and just leave it there and sit and look at it once in a while and just stare at it and think about it and leave it alone. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I might be a little extreme on that, but
Yeah, a year and a half. I didn't mean a year and a
but
half,
you know,
but hey, whatever
whatever
works.
works,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Uh, what? Yeah. Yeah, I think another thing I'm pretty bad at promoting myself.
Hmm.
Uh, and
That's usually the case with people as talented as you that don't have as big of a name as they should. It usually comes down to marketing and
yeah,
promotion.
marketing, even, Instagram, I post and I have decent following on Instagram. It's great
Mm.
and it's helped, but like I suck at promoting myself. I suck at telling people I have anything for sale, and
Yeah, it's a skill like
uh,
any
I've
other
never
that
I've
needs.
never contacted a gallery. They've always luckily just kind of approached me, so
That's cool.
that's cool. It's just, it's taken a while and you know.
Well, you know what I would say? I would say if you like made a concerted effort to doing that, you probably would. I imagine within 6 months you would probably double your sales.
That'd be cool.
I would say that would probably be the case. But anyway, one thing I wanted to ask you is what were you doing in the film industry?
So I was doing CG. Uh,
Okay.
I started in the game industry.
Okay.
You ever play Myst or Riven?
Yeah, those are the
Yeah,
those are games from my era.
yeah, me too. I'm up there with you.
Yeah.
Not, I think you're a little older than me, but I'm definitely up there.
Okay. Cool.
But yeah, that company, that was the first company I worked for. They were in Spokane, Washington, where I
Hmm.
grew up,
What year
and so
was this that you started working for them?
I started working there 99.
Oh wow. Okay.
So that was basically my first job um, out of school.
Hmm.
I went to school for computer science for a little while and then dropped out because I got a job there and I wanted to be an artist. So,
Right.
like, I don't want to be a programmer. What am I doing? Uh, and then I went to Blur Studio after that
Hmm.
down in LA, and then um, the Orphanage in San Francisco
Wow.
after.
Those are like all the big places, right?
Yeah,
They're
they're all
pretty
right.
big. Pretty
The
big.
Orphanage is gone now. They shut
Oh,
down.
really?
I left. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
If Nathan's gone, we're closing down. Fuck
Pretty
it.
much. Call it quits. No, I mean the CG industry in California is pretty much gone to shit,
Is it really? Because of
Yeah,
outsourcing?
yeah. Well,
Wow.
not just outsourcing, but the studios started chasing subsidies
Right.
around the world. So they moved to London, they moved to Vancouver. Everyone had to leave and pack up and go to Vancouver. There were a bunch opening in China and
Hmm.
just all over the world, and they just shift. And so you have to chase constantly. And yeah, I got sick of all of it. I got burnout. I started having panic attacks at work and
Wow.
worked overtime pretty much my entire career, and
Wow.
I was over it.
Yeah,
So
just like
now
me.
yeah, pretty much. I think we have a pretty similar career path, even
Hmm.
though practical and I was doing CG. It feels pretty similar.
Wow.
And now I'm just broke as shit, living in a living in a dump of a house in Philly with my girlfriend. But it's pretty amazing. Can't complain.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember those days of suffering, driving on the freeway and just going, oh God, I can't do this again.
Yeah.
I can't do it. Especially towards the end, it was harder. When I knew I was gonna leave, then it got really
Absolutely.
hard. It was like,
That's always the worst.
yeah, and it's like I had a taste of sales and what it's like to sell work that you love, and then it just became like, oh my God, please get me out of this. Praying to anything, get me out of this situation. But God answered my prayers, and I got laid off.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah, because
Nice.
I didn't quit. I didn't really have the nerve to quit yet. Like I was not really, probably financially ready to just quit and do fine art full
Yeah.
time, but I got
Yeah,
laid
it's
out.
hard.
Yeah, I got laid off, and it was like,
Oh,
okay, I could get another job, or I can keep doing this thing and really bust my ass, and that's what I did. So
yeah, that means a little unemployment too, which is
yeah,
always a nice thing. I had that for a little while when I first officially got out, and it was nice, but man, sure would be nice to be able to get unemployment again.
I know. Well, that was
But
that was
7 years later.
that was that was what everybody in makeup effects did, because the most people didn't have full-time jobs at one shop.
Oh yeah.
Film projects are a few months at a time or
Yeah,
less.
CG's the same way. Most places are not staffed. They'll have
Right.
a few people staffed, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's all gig to gig, and yeah, that too was
Yeah,
too much to handle.
but then you would get laid off, and you'd immediately go, okay, I'm going to go collect unemployment insurance until I get another shop job. And
Yeah,
that would get you through those times. And it was just, over and over. Just kind of like something everybody in the business, it was part of being in that business
yeah,
that I remember. But
crazy.
yeah, it's a crazy business. So you started in, how long did you work in like the digital industry?
Well, up until I was still freelancing a little up until like a year and a half ago or so, but
Oh, wow.
just a little bit of freelance here and there for my
Right.
old boss. I started working for a company in Portland called Refuge,
Hmm.
and they were doing mostly TV shows. They were doing like Grimm,
Yeah.
uh, and that was a very different experience because uh, I don't know, the expectations were different, because they're so fast and the budget
Right.
is so low that they're just like grateful to get anything. It's like, wow, this is amazing. Thank you so much. And it was kind of fun working there. I think I rarely worked overtime there,
Hmm.
uh,
That's
and
cool.
was mostly just doing ZBrush creatures. Uh, that was pretty fun, but it's still just I just want to do my own weird shit. And
Right.
that was the other thing. I tried doing like concept art for a long time because
Right.
like what I really want to do is creatures, and I really like designing creatures. So
Yeah.
I'll just work on my spare time and work on my like creature design portfolio, and that was hard because I make weird stuff and people don't want
I
that.
know. They tell you they do. They're like, yeah, we want something you've never
Oh yeah, you're
seen.
amazing. Design us this thing. And then they're like, yeah, this is
This
weird.
is too weird. I don't get it. My housekeeper saw a picture. She saw a copy of your design laying on the kitchen counter, and she said it was too weird. So
It's weird.
that's the kind of
Yeah.
shit, right? we were just
Yeah.
talking. I was just talking to, I think it was Jeremy Cross about this the other day on the last podcast. I think it was. But yeah, it's absurd, some of the stuff you hear.
But like you go back and the stuff that I love the most and the movies that I love the most are the ones with the really crazy shit.
Right.
That's the best stuff. And
Yeah.
but a
Like,
lot of the time in the old movies, you had like a person designing something and they make a monster and they're like, well, we got to use it now because we made it. We spent this money to make this thing. Now we got to use it.
Right.
So stuff would kind of sneak through more, but
Yeah.
you know, nowadays it's like overly manicured to the point of uh, staleness, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. It's, anything, any kind of, the movies with the most money are the ones where they take the least amount of chances on with something like a crazy design or,
You gotta have someone making the decisions that
right.
has a vision, and regardless of what someone at the top wants, that person is making the decisions.
Because they know the guy at the
Yeah,
top doesn't necessarily have any kind of art background,
yeah, yeah.
So how long was it then? So how long that what period of how many years was that around that you were in the CG doing CG stuff as a
Well,
day job?
since '99, so
So
and
shit.
then full time I was doing it, what, 3 years ago?
So like
So
eight,
16 years,
16 years. Okay, 17.
something like
Okay.
that.
Yeah, that is similar to me as well.
I tried getting out a couple times.
They pull you back
Iron
in.
Iron Man was the first Iron Man film almost like killed me. That was pretty rough.
Oh,
Uh,
really?
yeah.
Why?
So
Why?
just too much, just too many responsibilities. It was really stressful. Yeah, it was a nightmare.
What?
Uh,
what specifically? What was your job title? Like, what were you responsible for in that?
well, if you watch the credits, I actually have like two titles because
Hmm.
I was supervising like two different departments
Oh
and
my
then
god,
basically supervising a third department, but
that
like
sounds like a
unofficial,
nightmare already.
and like helping design a new pipeline and shit.
Oh god, that's not
And
artist work.
no, it was terrible. Uh, it was exciting, but it was also the first Marvel movie. It
Hmm.
was the first official Marvel movie,
Mm-hmm.
so everyone was under pressure, and our studio was under pressure because ILM gets most of the work, and we had gotten a big chunk, and it's like, oh, we gotta prove ourselves to Marvel so that we get future Marvel movies.
Oh.
Just that's what they do every movie to every studio. You pit the studios against each other,
Yep.
so they're trying to like get in with them so that they get future work, but they don't care. They don't give a fuck.
Yeah, they end up going with who's cheaper usually,
Yeah,
and then everyone undercuts each other's prices, and then
totally.
suddenly the whole industry is doing everything in less time and with less money because all the
Totally.
shops were cutting. That's what happened in effects too.
Yeah, yeah. So, uh, yeah, just the stress by the end of it, I had a panic attack. I thought I was having a heart attack. I'm like, fuck, this is it. I'm gonna die.
Yeah, they feel
This
like
is how
that.
I die. Stressed out on Iron Man.
Working on the stupid fucking movie.
And luckily I didn't die. I'm
That's good.
okay. But yeah, I tried to get out then, and I moved back to Washington and was freelancing from home, and that was better.
Mm-hmm.
But
Definitely.
same thing. I just have stuff in me that I need to do.
Right.
So like I can only work for someone else and design their shit for so long before I'm like, yeah. I've always been a bit of a punk. I
Mm-hmm.
was I was like a skate punk growing up and very DIY and
Yep.
very much lack of respect for authority figures.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's that called?
That's.
That kind of shit. That's
Yeah.
kind of shit.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think it was inevitable, even if it would have gone well. It was
Right.
inevitable.
I was gonna. Oh, that reminded me of There was a period where I started a digital effects department at a shop I was working at.
Really?
Yeah, right towards the end when I was leaving, I did that for a while, like in the late '90s. I started learning digital stuff and ended up doing some. I did digital for a while. Like 3D animations and stuff.
Oh shit. I didn't
Yeah,
know.
yeah. I did a bunch of animations for Tool for the live show projections,
Oh, that's cool.
and tried to start a digital company on my own, and that didn't quite work out. But I tried to set up, or I did set up this small CG department at this shop I worked at, and we got a digital job. We got doing digital effects, and I was the only one who really knew digital in the shop. I had a good knowledge of After Effects and Lightwave Modeler, and I was all like I was a Lightwave guy. That's what I was taught with. So I knew
Cool.
Lightwave, I knew After Effects, and I didn't know anything about pipelines or anything. So
Yeah.
we get this job in, and it was so stressful because I was basically doing everything
Oh shit.
that my hair started falling out. It was like
Oh,
my hair started falling out. I was so stressed out, and I couldn't get any. I mean, I eventually got a friend of mine knew some After Effects, so he was able to come in and help a little bit. Had a couple people helping, but it was a nightmare. There's so many, all the little assets you make. Ugh,
totally. Yeah, I
hell.
mean,
So I feel your pain there. I'm sure.
that's the benefit of having a larger studio is you just have departments, you know. You have
Right,
the ingestion department that just sucks in all the film and processes it, and like no one else has to think about that
right.
stuff. Just it's on the server and it's all alphabetized, you
Yeah.
know. So I don't know if I could even do it on my own now, just having worked in the studio pipeline for so long.
Right.
But I do. I'm finally getting to the point where I kind of want to get back into it and poke around with it just for fun, you know. But
Right.
just really stupid stuff. Not like I don't actually want to do effects for anybody,
Right.
but I don't know, making some weird, just fucked up CG for
Yeah.
myself. You know, I also want to do hand drawn animation. I've been really wanting to start doing more hand drawn animation and just
Yeah. Well, your stuff would be amazing. Your characters as like CG characters would be really cool. And
yeah, I want to try 3D printing too, because
right.
my buddy, you know, Bay, he's got a 3D printer. He keeps telling
Oh,
me, like,
wow.
dude, send me some shit and I'll print it out for you and send it to you. I'm like, I don't know, that sounds. I'm a sculptor too, so
Oh,
but
really?
it's like, yeah, but you know, sculpting, I like clay. I like
Yeah.
wood as clay, so it's like you got to make a mold afterwards,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
like I've never actually done that. I just like sculpting. So
Right.
one of these days I want to try it. But you know,
I know there's only so much you can do.
yeah, there's deadlines all the time, so
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
keep paying.
So, uh okay, so I'm trying to get a where did you grow up? I'm trying to get a timeline of your life in my mind here. Where did you start out?
All right, so I started in the Bay Area
Oh,
in
okay.
Antioch.
Hmm.
Didn't used to be considered part of the Bay Area, but
Right.
apparently now it is East Bay.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
so yeah, I grew up in Antioch till I was 10, and then moved to Spokane, Washington, and then just hung out there, like I said, until I moved down to LA for Blur Studios.
Hmm.
So, and then San Francisco, back to Spokane, back to San Francisco, back to LA, moved to Portland, lived there for like 5 or 6 years. Me and Bay, we met Bayard Baudoin, just so everyone knows.
Yes, he's
So,
amazing. Amazing
uh,
artist. I gotta have him
Even
on.
after I went back to the Bay Area the second time, we were both working at Digital Domain,
Oh wow.
and that's a whole nother story.
That's
Holy shit!
that was when I was into CG. That was the dream for me. I was like, oh, maybe I can work at Digital Domain someday.
Yeah, totally. And so they opened up this studio in San Francisco,
Mm.
and it was gonna be their creature only department. So
Oh
like
wow.
they had all these fucking badasses just to do creature work. So like pretty much any creature work was gonna get filtered through there. And Carlos
Yeah, Carlos Huante.
Ponte,
Hmm.
he was there. So
Oh wow.
he was the art director, and like he was my fucking hero.
Yeah, he's
So I'm like,
amazing.
holy shit, Carlos is there. This would be amazing. So, and this was right after I got divorced, so I moved down there, and that job was simultaneously like the best job ever and the worst job ever because the people there were so amazing, and I met so many amazing people. It was so inspiring,
Mm.
and our hands were just tied. It was like the most horrible politics of any company I've ever worked for.
Oh no, really?
And it just dissolved into a nightmare. Me and Bay both decided then and there that we were going to get out of the CG industry altogether. And we
Wow.
both did, like, pretty much the same time, like a month apart or so.
Wow. Can you give
And
me? Can you give an example, like an example of the horrible politics?
well, basically, because they were started as the creature shop, they had a studio in Vancouver and they had the main studio in LA, people who'd been there for decades.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and everyone was pissed.
Oh.
Literally, everyone else was pissed because all they wanted to do was the creatures. So it was just like a lot of secret, backhanded, undermining each other.
Oh
And
no, really?
it was just horrible. And like, I
That
don't know,
sounds
I just felt
terrible.
like no one was allowed to actually make any progress. It was over scrutinized. Like Carlos, they had literally one of the best creature designers in the entire industry working for them. And story of his life, they wouldn't use any of his stuff.
Right.
Other people would jump in and redesign things,
Ugh.
or like it was a nightmare.
Yeah.
Uh,
It sounds terrible.
yeah, I think everyone involved was affected by that pretty bad.
Yeah. I don't
It
know.
was
It sounds like it just sounds like typical movie stuff to me.
also one of the worst parts is the reason they formed it was for Mountains of Madness.
Oh no way.
So Del Toro was officially doing Mountains of Madness and had like picked them as the studio. So they were building this whole thing around this pipeline
Oh my
for
god.
doing these crazy creatures for the Mountains of Madness.
I worked
And
on the Spectral Motion was doing maquettes and stuff for him
oh
to pitch
shit,
it. So we worked on a bunch of cool stuff, bunch of
man.
designs and stuff. Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, so that like fell through, and that was kind of the first nail in the coffin. And I don't know, just downhill after that. But
Yeah.
that was a bummer because, man, that would have been a cool movie.
Oh, I know. I know. Did you read the script?
No,
I did. It was fucking awesome, man.
I know it was going to be rated R, and I know it was going to be crazy.
Oh,
And
it's
then
gonna be so crazy.
it sounds like the studio got involved and they started, putting their dick in everything like they do.
Yeah, I heard it was because there was no romantic interest
Oh
and
my God.
they wanted it to be like PG-13 or something.
Yeah.
Those were the two
Oh,
things I heard.
I heard they wanted Tom Cruise as the lead.
Yeah. He came into to the shop one day on a
Oh
weekend.
shit.
Yeah, he was. I always tell this story because everyone thinks of him as insane, but he was the coolest dude. He
Yeah,
was so cool and so down to earth and humble. I couldn't believe it. I was like,
that's cool.
where's the jumping on the couch guy on Oprah? You know, he's like the crazy Scientologist. He was like super, God, like very personable and really
That's
nice. It was weird.
Yeah, I mean nothing against Tom Cruise, but it doesn't really seem like that particularly good of a fit. I don't know. It seems like an odd choice
Well, I'm
for
sure it was as a business decision. You know,
yeah,
it's like the studio is going to put that kind of money in a horror film. You got to have a
yeah,
big
like
box
an
office
R-rated
draw.
horror
Yeah, an
film.
R-rated horror film with crazy effects. I bet you it'll get done someday, though. Now that
Yeah,
Guillermo's got the Oscar and everything,
yeah,
maybe, hopefully. I bet you it will. I don't know. I have a feeling someday it's going to come back around. I bet you he'll do it someday.
I hope so.
I know.
I just wonder if it was, like if it would be the same because it's been a while. He's gone through some changes since then.
Yeah, you never know. I mean, he really is an artist, so artists change and grow, and
Yeah, totally.
so I don't know. He's kind of the like the he's the I don't know. I think he's responsible for this invigoration of practical creature effects and stuff in movies.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, I could see that.
I think
He's
he's
done some pretty amazing shit for sure.
also as far as combining the two,
Yeah,
digital and physical, which is the best. It's the best. It's
totally.
the best of both worlds.
The original Jurassic Park.
Right. You know, it's
Still the best one.
yeah, right.
No contest.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, you know what's funny is it's so like okay. I remember when Jurassic Park came out, and every makeup effects person was like, "Oh shit, it's over." It's like everyone saw the writing on the wall, right? Then our industry just kind of went, started slowly going down, because of digital. Digital took over,
Yeah.
and then the digital industry started going down because, like you're saying, from outsourcing and going to other countries and all that stuff. And it's like it's just the way things go.
Yeah.
Things go in cycles. You can't get mad at it. Technology
There's
is not
also whatever is the new thing. Audiences are totally blown away by whatever is the new
right.
thing. And they just can't see past that. And they're like, I've never seen anything like this. This is amazing. It doesn't matter that it actually sucks.
Yeah, right.
Like I remember I was there in the mid 90s when CG started popping up,
Oh
even the
yeah.
early 90s, and it's like, wow, this is crazy. You
Yep.
look at it now and it's like
Oh,
garbage.
I know. What did I saw a clip of is the Spawn movie.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Woo! I can't believe. I remember thinking that looked amazing though at
yeah.
the time.
Or like Lawnmower Man, you remember that shit?
Yeah, I don't
That
remember.
like blew my mind. I was like, what the fuck is this? Now it's like I don't even know.
Or
It's
even,
like PlayStation 1 level graphics, you
do you
know?
remember those Mind's Eye videos that were just
Oh
like,
yeah,
and,
totally.
and those again are a perfect example. It was like, this is so weird. Oh my god, it's so
Yeah.
amazing, and it's just like a screensaver now, you know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I've been thinking I've been wanting to rewatch those actually for that very reason. Like, because I did think they were so amazing, and I
mhm.
wonder there's got to be some interesting stuff in there.
Yeah, there has to be.
Because that was in the early days when people were still experimenting. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
it's like people experimenting with synthesizers in the
Hmm.
60s, 70s. They didn't know what they were doing. It's
Right.
like, twiddle some knobs and make some weird music.
That's kind of the approach I took when I got into digital, because I got into digital because the shop I was working at, Alterian Studios, they started a digital company, and this was mid '96, something like that.
Yeah.
And they had this guy, Elliot Warman, I think his name was. He's like a punk rocker guy. He's a super cool little punk rock guy. Total like hacker punk rocker kind of persona. Super nice guy, nose ring. But he set up their department, and he was trying to get jobs in, and he kind of taught me how to use Lightwave, because he was a Lightwave guy from like Babylon 5, I think he was working on, maybe.
Yeah.
Again, another.
That's like the early days.
Yeah, another example of the old CG that looked amazing. The Last Starfighter, that was another one, right? Where there was like, they had those spaceships that I remember at the time. I was like, that looks so round and looks like metal. And you look at it now, it's like, oh shit.
I have that on VHS. I've been meaning to watch that again, because like I haven't seen that since it came out.
That was like one of the first movies to use, I think, all computerized spaceships. I think, wasn't it? Unless I'm.
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyway, beside the point, I was what was I saying now? Oh, I started learning Lightwave.
Yeah.
And I was so I kind of it all kind of clicked, like, oh, I could make my own movies and not have to have a bunch of people to help me. That's what was like got me really excited about CG. So then I started doing kind of these just experimental looping animations, and my friend Adam from Tool saw one, and he's like, oh, can we use that for the Tool show? And then I ended up doing some for them. But what was so cool that the approach I took was, I'm bringing this up because you're talking about people, synthesizers in the 70s just turning knobs. That's kind of what I was doing. Like, I had a basic knowledge of animation and using the modeler and texturing and stuff like that. And then I started like doing things you weren't supposed to do, like running a huge displacement map, like a fractal displacement map through a body, like a body that's kind of moving, and it just kind of goes and blows up and gets all distorted. And nobody was really doing that stuff back then. It was like you put like a fractal wave pattern through a figure. Procedural textures, but as displacement maps, and use it just layering procedural textures. And I mean, it was kind of amazing what you could do with that by messing with things. Yeah. And so what I would do is I would do a simple animation of some guy floating in space, and then kind of he'd blow up, or his eyes would be glowing or whatever, and then I would I kind of like compile it in After Effects, and then put like atmosphere and make it kind of fuzzy a little bit, like put a transparent version, layer on top and fuzz it out so it looked like it wasn't just CG and hard lined. And I mean, they're pretty cool still. Some of those animations are like, they're kind of cool just because it was all fucked up stuff like that.
It's funny. Have you noticed the trend now on like Instagram of people doing this sort of stuff?
Yeah, I know.
It's kind of like bad CG. It's like making this comeback. Like people are amping up the errors, and they'll like take mocap and put it on a character.
I know, and it's all flopping
over and turned inside out.
I know. It's like I see those now, and I'm like, I was doing that in the fucking 90s. Damn it, nobody knows.
People are fucking eating it up too.
I know.
It's kind of hilarious, but
it's cool. I mean, but it does look cool. I mean, it's kind of cool because now they can render things with subsurface scattering and translucency.
Yeah, you can make it look realistic really easily now. So it's like you just kind of throw some shaders on there, throw a light in there, and it's like it's pretty easy to do that. But also CG's gotten so polished, so I think it's like it's new to younger people. They're like, whoa, I've never seen anything like this.
Right, that's true. Yeah.
I wonder if younger people now saw the Mind's Eye videos, if they would probably flip
Love it.
out.
Yeah.
They're like, "Whoa, dude, this
This is
shit's
amazing.
crazy."
Could
Right.
be. You never know. You never know. Okay, so let's get on with. I want to
Oh yeah,
know how you ended up becoming a fine artist. Like, why? Were you an artist since you were a kid? Was that your
yeah,
thing? You were the art kid, and
yeah,
okay,
yeah. I started really early, like 5 years old or so.
right,
So I've just been drawing my whole life,
yeah.
and
I figured as
mostly
much.
monsters and dragons and shit like that.
Yeah. So
Um,
so how did you once you why fine art? Why did you try and get? Why did you leave the big? I know why you left because it was horrible and painful. But why did you go? Okay, I'm going to try fine art, or what did you do to try and get that going, or how did that whole journey happen?
well,
Basically.
I mean, it's all been in there the whole time, like
Okay.
I've just I've just always liked making art, and it was always a matter of trying to figure out, okay, but what am I going to do for a job?
Right.
So, like in the 90s in high school, I thought I wanted to do comics, so I learned anatomy, really just studied the shit out of anatomy and tried drawing from imagination and working out how to do comics. And then of course comics died a miserable death right about that exact time. uh, and then CG came along. Video games were getting bigger and ever, and I was like, this is exciting. I like all this stuff too.
Right.
So I'm totally self-taught too.
Hmm.
So
Cool.
uh, I learned all the CG I learned on my own, just taught myself.
Yep.
And yeah, just got excited, started doing that. But in the meantime, I was still always drawing. I was still always just doing my own stuff on the side. And I was still going to like figure drawing and
Oh,
stuff.
okay.
And this is something that I started noticing, and it got more and more noticeable the longer I was in CG. Is like I fell victim to this, and I saw other people doing it, but I got a job, and I'm like working on cool movies, and there's this opinion, like you tell yourself that you made it, like
Mm-hmm.
I made it. All this hard work that I did my whole life, it's finally paid off, and I have a career, and I'm an artist now.
Right.
And the next thing you know, you realize you haven't been drawing, you haven't been doing your own shit,
Yeah.
and it's been like years.
Mm-hmm.
You look around, and there's all these artists, and this is the worst part. It's like all these amazing artists that I work with, like literally the best artists
Exactly.
I've ever met in
Right.
my life, and they're not doing anything.
Exactly.
And
This is the
then
realization I had.
it gets to the point where they can't even draw anymore.
Right.
It's like been so long that like they have a hard time. They try and draw and they can't, and it's like, it's almost like a person with Alzheimer's or something. They're,
Right.
I don't know what's going on, and like panic and kind of give up. So I was kind of always the person that would still carry a sketchbook and always be drawing at my desk, even though I was working, and I would try and rile people up and be like, let's go draw at lunch. Let's start a figure drawing group. Let's just
Wow.
go draw on our sketchbooks, anything. And that was fun, but it was sad. I would do figure sculpting. That was a lot of fun.
Mm.
And again, there were some fucking amazing artists in the Bay Area, people at Pixar and at ILM. They
Right.
had a sculpting group. They would do figure sculpting. And I was lucky enough to get in with them. And oh my God, so amazing. Such
Right.
amazing artists. Uh, but yeah, it was always there. I just needed to do this stuff. And then when I finally stopped, when I quit, I was in a weird position where I didn't know what to do with myself because I'd been working for other people for so long and doing what they wanted and
Yep.
doing what the industry wanted and what movies wanted, the trends, like
Yep.
even trying to become a creature designer, it's like you you have to become a creature designer that the industry is going to want to employ.
Yes. Right.
Not like what kind of monsters do I want to
Right.
design?
Yeah. Always, you always have to make the brows angry.
Exactly. They're always angry. They're always pissed and
Yeah, they're always pissed and angry. It's like,
they're always fucking ripped.
and they move
Like,
like this.
yeah, how come every monster is ripped?
Yeah. And angry. It's like, that's
Yeah.
not scary. Angry monsters aren't scary. That's not creepy. It's not scary. It's like anger. I never understood that. It always kind of bothered me.
They're always just chasing you and
Ah,
trying to eat you,
the
but they don't
scary.
even eat you.
Yeah.
They just like bite your head off and throw you away and then run and kill the next thing. It's
I
like
always
that's
thought like
realistic.
I always
There's
thought
literally not a single creature on this
right.
planet that just kills things for the hell of it and
Right.
then moves on to the next thing to kill. Doesn't exist.
I always thought like blank face, like a blank face is so much scarier than like an angry face. Like a blank
Yeah,
face in a situation where it should be just something that's not right is what makes things look creepy
yeah,
and weird. And
exactly.
anyway, we digress.
Yeah. Really, to me, like those subtle differences,
Hmm.
like if you have a human, totally realistic, but what if like just one arm is so big that it's dragging on the
Right,
floor?
exactly. Yeah.
That's disturbing.
Right.
You're gonna look at that and be like, oh God, if you saw that in real life, you would be repulsed.
Right,
You
right.
wouldn't know what to think.
Yep.
Uh, I don't know. That
Absolutely.
was always my philosophy. But so yeah, so when I quit for reals and decided I was gonna just do my own stuff, uh, and I was so sick of computers, I was like, okay, I'm not gonna do any digital. I'm gonna only draw and paint and teach myself oil painting.
Mm.
And so to take the guesswork out of it and I guess kind of like let my brain go on vacation and just heal after that
Right.
much. I only worked from life. So I was
Mm.
like, I'm just gonna carry my sketchbook everywhere I go and draw everything around me
That's the way to
and
do it, man.
just paint still lifes and paint portraits.
That's the way to
And
go.
I didn't work from photos. It was just like purely from life.
Hmm.
And I did that for a few years at least,
Wow.
probably like 4 years. Um,
I'm assuming you were freelancing to make money during that time, or
yeah, I was starting freelancing, and then like I said, I got that job at Refuge,
mm.
which was pretty chill, and
Right.
the hours were normal, so I was still able to keep going. But I took like 2 years off.
Hmm.
I had some unemployment for a while, and I had savings as well,
Oh,
so
okay.
I pretty much burned through all my savings.
Yep.
Uh, so it's kind of like going to school and funding going to school, except I was just kind of being a slacker and painting and you know.
You were teaching
So,
yourself though.
yeah, so I didn't really know what I was gonna do. I just knew that I wanted to do art.
Hmm.
And then slowly my weird stuff just started kind of seeping in a little bit and more, and then I got to the point where I was ready for it, and I'm like, all right, I want to make weird shit. I want to make monsters and
Yeah.
lumpy stuff now.
Bring on the
So that's
lumps.
kind of where I am now.
Right.
But kind of it all shifts. I'm painting again, so I went to graphite only for a little while
Yeah.
there, and then now I'm trying to get back to oil painting. But now I'm working almost exclusively like from my imagination. So that's completely different.
Yeah,
So
right. No reference.
yeah, painting from life is completely different because it's all wet on wet. It's all like right there in front of you. I just mix up color and put the color where it needs to go, you know.
Hmm.
So now I'm like basically relearning how to paint,
Hmm.
and subject matter is evolving, and I'm kind of getting to the point now where the reverse. I want to start working realism back into it and start working from reference and
Hmm.
adding people back into it and stuff. So I don't really know what's going to happen. It's just always going to keep evolving.
Yeah, exactly. You just got to follow the impulse and just keep
Yeah.
seeing where it leads. That's the fun. That's the cool thing about dedicating yourself to your own personal artistic vision, is that you're following this thing. You don't know where it's going to end up. That's the coolest thing. It's so
Yeah.
exciting. It's like, who knows where I'm going to be in 10 years, the kind of shit I'm going to be
It
painting.
can be stressful, but
Yeah.
it's also exciting. Yeah, and like I'm definitely one to not what am I trying to say?
I don't know. You're one to
I have to
not.
keep exploring, you know.
Right.
It
Yeah.
has to just do what it has to do. I I can't just kind of pick something and stick with it
Hmm.
because I've decided on it, you know. It's I don't know what's gonna happen. I'm like pretty much not in control at all. So
Wow.
I can kind of guide a little bit. I can steer it vaguely and see what happens, but
Right. That's in a way. You're talking about how you're not great at marketing and getting your name out there, and in a way that allows you more of that freedom, because you don't have, if you because I've got, like, I'm established with what I do,
yeah.
and I'm just thankful that I love what I'm doing. Like, this is, to me, it's like, I feel like I could, at this point, I feel like I could be totally happy painting basically the kind of stuff I'm doing now. Like,
Yeah.
I love it. I never can get bored of it. But at the same time, it's like, people expect that of me, and that's what they're
Yeah.
buying. And it's like, so if you get locked into something that's where you're able to, make money at it, you better like where you're locked in at, because,
It's true.
when you start changing things up, those people might not dig it. But so in a sense, that serves you creatively to not be locked in that way, maybe.
Yeah. I
Maybe.
mean it's all a big confusing mess, you know.
That's probably the
Like
best way to describe it.
it's like if I was doing something that I was really enjoying, then maybe I would chill out, and I probably will at some point. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
I can kind of see something like that coming,
right,
but I feel like maybe because I'm still pretty early on that I'm excited and
right,
I want it to do its own thing, so I'm
right.
kind of taking a hands-off approach to it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's also exhausting at times.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. That
So
restlessness. I mean, like, it took me 5 years before I kind of stumbled onto what I'm doing now. I was like
yeah,
floundering for 5 years, just trying different styles, different mediums,
interesting.
and then came upon the portrait style, monster heads. It's like, I enjoyed it, and then they took off, sold well. So I just kind of kept going in that direction
Yeah.
because I was enjoying it. It was as enjoyable as all the other stuff I was trying to do at the time. So it's like, okay, I'll just go in that direction because it's selling. And then I would just, let that kind of develop, and that went through a bunch of different phases and stuff. But I'm just looking at these graphite painting drawings over your shoulder. Like, if you started drawing when you were doing your graphite period, and you just instantly were selling every single one of them, boom, you couldn't keep them in the store, you'd kind of feel obligated. Oh, I really
Totally.
want to paint, but this is paying the rent this month of these
Totally.
drawings. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that is Definitely one of my benefits is I'm, I'm not making shit for money, basically.
Yeah, right.
So,
But
so
I,
that definitely fuels experimentation.
yeah,
Uh,
it's sort of like yeah, enjoy the freedom while you have it, because especially I personally, I just somebody as good as you, it's gonna hit with people eventually, and you're gonna get a thing to where people you're known for. I think because I've I feel like maybe you just haven't promoted yourself enough, because the work is
yeah,
is outstanding. Really, it's so good. So enjoy it while it's there, because
yeah, I'm enjoying it. But my girlfriend is we're in a similar boat. We've both been doing this full time, living off of our art
oh, cool.
and living off of basically Instagram for the past what 4 years now.
Wow,
Um,
that's great.
and so it's like it's interesting having someone else around. We spend 24 hours a day together and like having the same thing, living in the same way.
Yep.
It can be stressful, but it's encouraging at the same time. But you know,
Yeah.
seeing her struggles, she has kind of a similar thing where people expect stuff from her, and she still is new and trying to like explore and push things.
Hmm.
And but at the same time, likes what she's doing or visiting her stuff from the past and like getting back into veins of the past. And
What's kind of stuff does she do?
uh that's hard to describe.
What's her name? I'll look
She's
her up on Instagram.
her name's Bronwyn Lorelei.
Whoa, how do you spell that?
Bronwyn
Oh, okay, I
Lor.
see.
So she's a little more on the
Oh, cool.
illustrative vein.
I like it. Wow.
Very bizarre.
Very bizarre. I like it. It's really fucked up. You guys are like the perfect couple.
Yeah, there's actually a lot more similarities than it might appear at first, and I
Oh,
kind of feel like
I see him right
we
away. It's like the level of fucked upness
explore
is this.
similar themes.
Exactly. It's like you guys are on the same. You guys are like doing a different interpretation of the same reality almost. You
Kind of,
know?
yeah, yeah. It's fun. It's exciting. I think it would be fun to like redraw each other's stuff,
Totally, man.
but we'll see. We've thought about that. We've done a couple little collabs too, where
Oh,
she'll
cool.
draw something and I'll shade and like render the shit out of it. But uh, so it's fun. It's an interesting journey, and she's also trying to get into painting more and wanting to explore more, get a little
Hmm.
more experimental. And that's kind of what I'm doing too, trying to get more color into my work. Um, and I'm not too familiar with color, you know?
Really?
Yeah,
I
it's
because I saw your stuff, and I was like, oh, he exclusively works in graphite. Like when I first was checking you out, and then I saw some paintings, and the paintings are amazing. Like really
yeah,
good. Like you did some portrait kind of stuff, straight
yeah,
portrait work.
those were from that last period where I was
Fucking
working
great.
from.
Great, excellent painting. So it didn't, but now that you mention it, the colors were weird, but
Yeah.
they weren't like not right. They're just unusual color choices, which I liked actually.
Yeah, I mean, I like awkward. I like kind of
Really, I would
that
never know.
uncomfortable.
Hmm,
So
shocking.
people that I was painting, maybe I didn't do very flattering portraits, that's for sure.
Right.
And I kind of wanted to push them even further. I wanted them to be very like up close and kind of gnarly. And I would like to revisit that actually and like push it to where I really wanted to push it.
Right.
Um, but like, yeah, this is this one I did recently. Let's see.
Oh man, yeah. Pull it back a little bit.
It's kind of
Do a screen grab of that
yeah.
for Patreon with
The
your little eye peeking out behind? It's kind of perfect.
the value the lighting's pretty bad. I don't know if you can see it
No,
very
it's
well.
great. Yeah, no, that's. I was gonna ask you. You know, that's an oil painting.
Yeah,
It's amazing. I love it.
it's a little guy.
Yeah, I was because I was looking on your Instagram here, and it's like some of these. I guess they're all oil paintings. Like this dude,
Yeah, yeah. So that's an oil painting.
crazy.
That was for Cadabra. That's 11 by 14. So
Uh,
I'm
love
trying to
it.
go bigger, and I'm working on one for conjoined,
Mm-hmm.
uh,
Excellent.
a bigger one.
Oh,
So
cool,
trying something a little out of my comfort range,
cool.
and
Yeah, these are
we'll see
great.
how it turns out. It's gonna be nice and gooey and
Excellent. Yeah,
gutsy.
it's good to do a larger piece for conjoined because there's so much stuff usually in there. It's kind of hard to stand out. So a little bit bigger is better.
Yeah, yeah, we'll see what happens. Just got the email about the show, so
Yeah, we're so late and all that. Oh my God, we're so behind on it. But yeah, I'm glad you're in. We talked
it's good
about it
because
before
I'm
though.
behind. So
Good. It's not till it's end of February now, or like
yeah,
third week of February. So a little bit of time. I don't have anything yet. I don't know what I'm gonna do.
slacker.
Slacker, always
Like
pushing
a
it to the
Disney
last
game.
minute. um, yeah. Uh, so you how did you teach yourself to oil paint? Like, did you? Was it trial and error, YouTube
Yeah,
videos,
man,
books?
it was hard. Holy crap. Oil painting is hard.
It is. It's hard. It's really hard.
Uh, like I said, I was just doing like still lifes at first. And I don't
Okay.
even know how to set up a still life. So it was like I don't know how to light it. You know, that was half of the trouble.
Right. Right.
Uh, so I didn't know anything. And it was like the stupidest stuff was really what was stumbling me.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a word? That's not a word.
Uh,
uh,
people know what you
like
meant.
like I didn't know how to mix colors. You know, I didn't
Right.
know how to like how much paint should I put on the palette? You know, how do I
Yeah.
use a palette knife? I don't know how to use a palette knife.
Yep.
So it was totally trial and error. 100%. I would just every night after work, I would put some paint down and I would try and mix up colors and try different approaches. And eventually just got to the point where I was doing uh, direct painting, I guess
Mm-hmm.
you call it. Alla
Alla
prima.
prima. Yeah.
I like wet on wet, so I would just mix up a color as close as I could and load the brush up and put a dab of paint down, and there we go.
That
And
one you showed me isn't wet on wet though. There's
no,
yeah,
so
that's like
that was
glazing and
before.
stuff.
So
Okay.
now that I'm doing it without reference, I can't just mix up a color. I can't just look and be like, I
Right.
need this color here. Uh, the way I work with graphite, that took a change too, you know, like working from life with graphite is one thing, but
hmm
working from imagination with graphite is different. But I've been using pencils since I was 5 years old, so I'm very comfortable
Yeah.
with
Right.
I know how to get it to do what I want. So the way I work with graphite is very vague and hazy.
hmm
So I'll just kind of start with broad shapes and kind of block in some values and smudge. I smudge everything and then I'll erase. And so I push and pull a lot. And things can change pretty dramatically as I start to see the shape and see what I'm making. Then I'll refine it and carve into it. Very sculptural, you
hmm
know? So that does not work the way that I was painting.
Right.
So I've been trying to teach myself or figure out a new method. So now I'm working in black and white. So I do the whole thing similar to graphite, where
Right.
push and pull, and it's easy with two colors because you just make a spot darker, you make a
Yep.
spot lighter, and then I get it as close as I can and render it. And then after that, then I start adding the color.
Yeah. Grisaille. It's the grisaille technique.
Yeah, apparently. I mean,
It's like it's an old master's technique of
yeah,
you paint it
yeah,
to
that's like
completion with
Dutch masters.
with black and white
Uh,
and gray, and I love painting. I've been painting like that lately a lot. I
so
love it.
I'd heard about that before, but I was always like, I don't care about that because that doesn't work with direct painting. That doesn't work with
Right.
Alabama, so who cares?
Yeah, right.
So I had my colors picked out, and now that I'm doing this, now I'm looking at colors and I'm like, okay, this one's transparent. This
Right.
is color. This is what I want.
Yep.
This one's opaque. I can use this for highlights, for,
Exactly.
overriding colors, like certain things like that. And I'm just starting to figure all of that out. And I have a new palette. I have new colors that I'm working with, and like working with alkyd mediums
Mm-hmm.
for quick drawing. I'd never done any of that before, so now
Wow.
I'm experimenting with that a little bit, and it's still pretty early.
Hmm.
So I've only done a handful
Well,
of paintings, really.
they're amazing.
Oh,
You're
thank
off to an amazing start. Well, what I love about that technique and why I keep going back to it, because I I I was like you, self-taught completely. I watched my dad; he was a painter, so I kind of watched how he did. He would do burnt umber underpaintings,
yeah,
and then he would paint. But it was more just watching him, and then I same with you. I was teaching myself, messing around. I didn't know shit about. I did know some color mixing because of makeup effects. So I had to learn
yeah, yeah.
complementary colors to gray down your colors, and the
Yeah, I
basic
understand
color
that
wheel and
stuff.
all that
And
stuff. So yeah. So I um I eventually got this friend of mine recommended this book called How to Paint Like the Old Masters. Do you have that book?
yeah, no,
Oh, you got to get it. It's great.
yeah,
It's by what's his name?
mm,
How
mm,
if you look up How to Paint Like the Old Masters, it'll also I could send you a link too. It's so great cuz it just basically takes a bunch of different old master style, and the guy basically does a step by step. And one of those was a grisaille technique. He does it all in grisaille, which is the black and white, and then glazing color, and then working
yeah,
opaques back into the glazed colors. And that was like, whoa, amazing. So I learned a lot from that book. But then I was like not very good at direct painting, so I started going in that direction for a while just so I could learn it and stay looser. But
hmm
the one technique I always go back to is that grisaille, where it's because I feel like I like to be able to think of the painting without color, without having to
yeah,
I just want to focus on the value.
yeah, the form.
Yeah,
I
and
mean,
the
you're a sculptor,
forms.
so
Yeah, I mean, I love that. I like the control it gives. You know what I
yeah,
mean? So that's kind of I think that's probably my preferred method of painting is grisaille, to where I'm like, because I love painting, doing like almost a finished painting in black and white. It's just feels it's easy kind of because it's like
yeah,
it is like drawing.
yeah. But
But
it's all about form. You're
right,
focusing almost solely on form, and
yep,
then some lighting. It's another thing that's really it's been hitting me lately. Is I kind of feel like all of my experience with CG is kind of coming out in this now.
right.
'Cause it's like I'm thinking about things like subsurface scattering
Specular
and
highlights.
specular highlight and like
Totally,
ambient
man.
occlusion,
Yep.
like all the
Reflected
different
light and all that.
lights. So I'm really kind of like I'm building a rendering engine.
Mm-hmm.
Slowly, it's taking years, but I'm slowly like adding a new feature to
Right.
my rendering engine. Like, okay, now I can do reflections, so now I'm going to focus on reflections.
Right.
I've simplified everything. I simplify my lighting down to like one light source
Mm-hmm.
to make it easy so I can just focus on a single shadow and a single highlight. And then now I'm kind of getting into like translucency
Mm-hmm.
and uh, just different surface properties, different shader properties, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Uh, and it's been helping me to think of it that way because
Yeah.
I used to nerd out on that stuff so much.
Same here. Yeah. I,
And so it's like, okay, I'm gonna slowly add one more feature to my arsenal of tools
mm-hmm.
and see what happens. So each painting I'm trying to like just add a tiny bit more. I don't know. Realism's a bad word because I'm not going for realism, but
Right.
like features.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's fun. I don't know. I'm having a lot of fun with it.
Yeah. I
It's like
remember. I remember when I started CG. I mean, I didn't know what specularity was. Like, I never thought of what a specular highlight
yeah,
was, and so to me, this was all new terminology. Like, God, what are the God, now I'm totally blanking out. But it's like each texture would have
well, there's diffuse.
right.
Diffuse is the color map, and
Right.
yeah, reflection, refraction,
Yeah, all that
transparency.
all that shit was like I never thought about it in an artistic context. So by the time I got out of all of that stuff, I knew it from CG. Like I learned a lot of my painting techniques from lighting and texturing stuff in computer program in Lightweight,
Yeah,
basically. You know, it was
yeah. And
huge help.
things like bounce lighting.
Yeah,
If I think of it as doing CG, it's easier to light stuff.
right.
I
Yeah.
think about actually putting the light here and shining it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, know what it's going to do in the computer.
Yep.
So if I think of it that way, it actually helps me. So ultimately, my goal is to continue developing this like platform for myself to the point where I can make whatever I want.
mm-hmm.
And so that I feel like I'm building up to something, and then eventually I'll be able to paint, and I can go and make like a real painting. That's kind of how I feel.
These are yeah, but these paintings.
Someday, 10
These,
years down the road, I'll
nah.
finally be able to like make whatever I want.
Right. I feel you there. I feel you there. But I mean, the stuff you're doing is, it's amazing. It's
I feel
already amazing.
that's kind of just art, though, right? You're just
Yeah.
always struggling and
Yeah. There's always
trying, you
there's
know.
always something you haven't done. I haven't done like a big, elaborate, epic painting. I haven't painted. I don't know. I'm rusty with likenesses. It's hard. I still have a hard time doing portraits. That's something that I feel like I kind of need to keep practicing on. And
Yeah, likenesses are hard.
it's the hardest, man. One little thing is off, and the whole
Yeah.
likeness is off. One little tiny like square quarter of an inch, if it's not right on the face or like on the eye or something, you're screwed.
Yeah, I was obsessed with likenesses for a while, and I was just determined. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna only focus on trying to nail a likeness now, and I just
Mm-hmm.
did that for like, God, probably a couple of years,
Right.
just
That's what it
trying.
takes, man.
And it does. It's like it's hard.
I mean, some people that's all they do.
Yeah,
Like portrait painters, like these really amazing Sean Cheatham,
yeah,
Jeremy Lipking,
totally.
and all those dudes. They're like they do likenesses every day. Michael
Yeah,
Husser, these guys that do these portrait paintings. It's like we're painting monsters every day, and then
yeah,
sometimes we do portraits. So
yeah.
it's where you put your focus is what you get really good at.
Yeah, I would like to mix some of that back in now, but
Yeah,
just
me too.
figure out how
I
to
can
do that.
do it. I can, I'm sure you can do it. I can get a likeness now. It's not as easy as when I paint a monster. It's going to take me probably, twice as long to do a portrait, or three times
Yeah,
as long as as a monster of the same quality. Because that's what to me is what's so fun. One of the fun things, excuse me, about painting monsters. It's like it doesn't have to look like somebody. It's
yeah.
like
There's no wrong.
yeah, and you can there's a wrong, but it's not it's not about likeness. It's about getting the form right.
Yeah,
Or you know what I mean? Or the light or the perspective or the lighting, There's things that, I know what you're saying, but it's like it's not about, moving the eye a quarter of an inch one way and it'll make the likeness. It's like it can be develop the character can develop while you're painting it.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah. That's my favorite
It's
part.
so much fun. It's
I
so
like that stuff.
so creative. That's why I'll
It's like
never get sick of
who's gonna
that.
come out of this thing? I don't
Yeah.
even won't know until it's done, and it's like, wow, this thing, this is weird. And
It's yeah, it's magical in that way. It's because
yeah,
it came from nowhere. It came from your
yeah,
imagination. It's crazy,
yeah,
you know? Even like I do studies now for all my paintings as part of my process. It helps me to paint more efficiently on the when I get to that point of the big painting. So I always do a little study.
yeah.
But I never like blow the study up and project it or anything like that. It's like I just look at it and eyeball it, and then it changes a little bit more. The study is just to basically place things, get the colors basically where I want them roughly,
Mhm.
and then I just let it go where it wants to go, and it usually changes a little bit. Quite a bit actually.
So I'm curious how, like when you do your studies, because you're getting the main idea out in the study. So
Right.
I'm curious, like how much do you have in mind when you start a study? Like, do you, you're like, okay, I'm gonna do a face with like, this or that, and like, how much do you actually have in mind when you go to start it?
Usually, or a lot of times, nothing at all.
Yeah,
Sometimes I just won't even have an idea, and I'll just use it as a sketch. Like the way I see it is studies. Uh, I don't I don't worry about proper technique. I'm a little more concerned with like the proper technique on the big painting.
yeah.
It's more like it's a mixture of direct painting plus I'll let it dry and I'll do some glazing, or it's like kind of whatever it takes just
But
to get this idea out. And
I'm
then
I'm talking about the content though.
yeah, okay, well,
The form of this creature, whatever it is that you're painting, how much do you have in mind?
it depends. It's sometimes if I'm working, sometimes best case scenario is I'll sketch first, and then I'll get an idea I like, and that's usually I don't usually go for like a fully rendered sketch. It's just a basic idea. Then I'll use the sketch and kind of work from that, and then develop it further in the study, and then when it gets to a point where it's like, okay, I can see. I basically paint as much as I need
Yeah,
to
so you
get
know where it's going.
enough information for the big painting. So a lot of times I will end up polishing up the study to sell, like adding a little bit more than I need.
Like
Just so
after.
yeah, basically just because it's like, oh, I'm going to sell it. I could make this painting a little bit nicer,
Gotcha.
because usually it doesn't need to be that finished for me to move on to the big
Yeah,
painting. It's just, it's like, it when you have enough info, you just kind of know. It's like, okay, I wasn't sure about how I was going to light this over here, but now that I did the study, I kind of have all those, you kind of know where your problems might be, or, when you're thinking about it. So
yeah,
I don't know. It's always kind of different, but I don't know if that answered your question.
yeah. Yeah, I
Yep.
just sometimes, I mean, mostly with graphite, um, a lot of the times I just won't even have any. any idea and will literally start to emerge through the act of drawing.
Right.
But sometimes I do. Sometimes I'm like, or I'll do a sketch, or I'll go through my sketchbook and I'll
Right.
find like, I really like this. I want to turn this into something real. And it still changes a lot in
Yeah.
the process, but there are times where I have something in my mind and I'm like, I want to try and capture this thing that I see in my mind. And you still go through the same process and rough it out and try to find
Right.
it because you can't see it that clearly. But
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it's 100% free form, totally vague. And
Yeah, same. Sometimes I'll set up a little panel. I have no idea, and I use that to sketch basically. And so I'll kind of do a grisaille thing with a
yeah,
study, and I'll just start with just putting crap on just putting strokes down just to get some kind of idea,
yeah,
and then kind of go from there. And I really enjoy that. Actually, it's kind of like it's basically the sketching process in paint.
yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I'm trying to get to there. Uh, that's my goal is to get a little more comfortable with it to where I can just zonk out and just see what comes out of it and then have the skills and the techniques to be able to refine that to the point of making a real painting.
Right.
So I'm like almost there, but it's
Looks like you're there
still
to me.
it well, it feels very foreign still.
Right. Yeah. You want to get that second nature to where you don't have to think about it.
Yeah, and having the contrast of graphite, since graphite feels so comfortable,
Yeah. Right.
just I know how to get it to do exactly what I want. Doesn't mean that I'm perfect at it or something like that, but I know how to push and pull it,
Yep.
know how to erase things and redo things and get what I want. Whereas paint is still very like we have a decent relationship, but it feels strange.
That's probably we have. I think I think we share a lot of similarities with our work in a way. I mean, I see. I don't know. I recognize in your work. I recognize things I feel familiar with my work in a way,
I can
and
see that.
I think I bet a lot of it has to do with the graphite thing, because that was always the constant since I was a little kid. All through, that's the one thing I did always throughout the effects period and the CG period, drawing.
Yeah,
I was always
yeah.
drawing, and that's why I always felt comfortable drawing, just like you're saying. And I think that's why the grisaille technique probably makes the most sense for us,
I
because we're
think
so
so.
familiar with graphite and just
Yeah,
working in values.
shading.
Yeah.
I like ballpoint a lot as
Yeah,
well.
same here. Yeah.
Uh,
I did pen and ink for a while too. I was really into rapidograph, pointillism and
yeah,
stuff.
totally. Yeah.
I got a good tip for you though.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, man. Here's what I've been doing for my underpaintings, my grisaille underpaintings lately, 6 months or a year or something. White and not black, but this company called Vasari. Vasari paints are like expensive, really nice paints, but they have this cool raw umber, and I use this cool raw umber and titanium white, and I mix all my values from that, no black, because it makes a really nice neutral gray. All the grays are very nice and neutral, whereas black. Before, when I would do grisaille, I would do black and white, but it would make this super too cool. All the grays were bluish almost because they were so
Yeah.
cool. So you had to add a little yellow ochre, a little burnt umber, or something to warm it up. But the Vasari raw umber and white it's like the most perfect neutral gray for underpaintings. I just love it. I'll send you a link to it also.
Sorry, raw umber.
Yeah, it's like this cool raw umber, or maybe I could send you some. I've got these little glass jars, because it's Vasari. You have to order. The thing about the Vasari paints is you have to order at least $100 of paint at a time, to place an order on it. So it's like,
Wow.
maybe I could put some in a little jar for you and send it. But it's great. Oh, I love it. I love it.
Okay.
Yeah, makes things a lot easier.
Uh, One thing that changed for me that helped a lot recently is, you know, painting painting, no matter how comfortable I get, even doing the direct painting, it always feels weird. Uh,
Uh,
and so I started thinking maybe because I'm so used to working small and working with graphite and like drawing
right.
like, and whereas painting, you have a long brush and it's on an easel standing up and you're like kind of jabbing at it from
Yeah.
across the room, you know?
Uh,
So I started like putting it on my lap or like
hmm.
holding it and using a small brush and basically like holding the brush more like a pencil and like drawing. And that instantly made it a lot more comfortable.
Oh, wow. That's
So
interesting.
I've been trying to do that a little more. Uh, like these little ones, I'll just hold it in my hand
Hmm.
like a sketchbook and I'll just paint and like rest my palm. You know, that's another thing. Like I'm used to having my palm rested
Right.
on the side of my drawing or something. I like have all these subconscious techniques,
Yeah, yeah.
holding my hand and like anchoring my hand while I draw so I don't smudge it.
Have you ever used a mall stick for
I
painting?
haven't, but
Those are
I've seen people use those and I
life
really
changer,
should
man.
try.
Life changer. You just get anything, get any stick, a big yardstick works, any like stick, and just you just lean it up against your easel, and then you just kind of hold it with your left hand and adjust it, and then you just rest your hand on it to paint for detail. It's like it works so well. It's
All
amazing.
right.
I
I'm
use
gonna try.
I use a grabber, those old people grabbers that like
Yeah.
um, I because I kept dropping my brushes down behind my easel, and my space is really cramped. So I got a grabber to pick up these brushes that I kept dropping behind my easel, and then I realized, if I put a couple screws in here, I can kind of rest it, and it fits right, like works just like a mall stick. So I kind of
Interesting.
rested on there. But man, it was a huge.
That's kind of hilarious. I'm gonna
I
look
know.
that up.
I know. I know what the best grabber is too on Amazon. I researched grabbers. No, but yeah, might be helpful too. But I know some artists who paint flat. It seems like someone on the I interviewed recently is like a person that they paint flat on a desk.
Interesting.
Yeah, which is a trip. But you don't get
Yeah.
the benefit of backing up though. That's one
Yeah.
great thing about painting and holding the brush like you're saying, like kind of holding the brush back, is that you're keeping that distance so you don't,
Yeah.
fuck up because you're just going like that, and
Yeah.
then
I mean, I get that. I know why people
it's
do
not
it.
comfortable though. I
It's
know what you mean. It's
yeah.
not comfortable.
It's just not. But I'm gonna try the mall stick. I think that'll be a pretty big thing. 'Cause
Oh, it
it's
will be,
been on
yeah.
my mind for years. I'm like, I should really try that, and then I
Yep.
just never do.
I'm sure
And I'm
there's
awkwardly holding my arm there, and it's like, oh, it
you probably
hurts.
got something that like that curtain rod up there. You could probably take
Yeah.
that curtain rod and use it as a maul stick. You could use anything.
Yeah, I think I have a like an old broomstick or
Yeah,
something.
broomstick, anything. It's
All
great.
right.
I want to hear. I want to hear. You have to text me when you after you
Okay.
try it and let me know how you liked it.
I'll let you know.
So okay, what? So what are your plans? What are your future plans? Are you just kind of like
Mhm.
are you following just to the next step constantly and just following this path, or do you have grand goals that you see in the
Yes and
future?
no.
Or
I mean, kind of. I know things that I want to do and start incorporating, and I know so like 2 steps down the road. I know content wise, like 2 steps down, like what I want to try and do after I'm done with this round. I want to start incorporating. I want to start getting into backgrounds and
Hmm,
landscapes
right.
and having multiple characters, you know. So I'm really taking it like one tiny step at a time. It's like one character to start with simple light
Yep.
source and background, and you know, I'm gonna slowly add until I'm able to make entire scenes. And same with like content, like I'm not worrying about that sort of content. So I'm keeping it simple content wise, like thinking about a face and what kind of weird stuff I want to see in that face. So like I have goals as far as how I'm going to go stepping stone into the art that I really want to be making. But then there's also, you know, like life goals.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm probably going to be leaving Philly soon.
Oh,
Um,
where are you going?
it's it's been fun, and I've met a ton of amazing artists here. It's really amazing art scene.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. You guys have a
Uh,
really great art. You've got like, yeah, incredible art scene out there.
and like the galleries, there's cool galleries. It's there's a lot of really great stuff. And then proximity to New York, and I'd never been to the East Coast before I came here,
Hmm.
so I really vibe with the East Coast vibe. I think
Mm-hmm.
it's I don't know, it kind of feels like my people somehow,
Mm-hmm.
like just the attitude. There's something about it over here,
Mm-hmm.
but um, my girlfriend and I both really don't like the weather.
Yeah,
It really
that's what
sucks.
everybody complains about.
That's kind of crap. Also, the rents just keep going up, and like we're not making any more money. We're like our
Right.
wages are not going up at all. So we're trying to figure out like where a good cheap spot is,
Yeah,
and we're
that's
realizing that we just don't know. So
yeah.
I think we're gonna kind of nomad it for a while and just kind of get a vehicle and travel around and explore and just kind of see what we like. You know, we both have the benefit of working for ourselves from
Right.
home, so we're gonna try and explore and see what happens.
Wow.
So ultimately, we want to get somewhere that we can afford, that the weather's nice, that we
Yeah.
can hopefully buy a house someday and be able to like chill out.
Yeah, yeah. You know,
Yeah, you've
you're
been.
at that age. You
Yeah.
know, it's at our age you start thinking about stuff like that. You
Yeah.
know, um, it's funny because from what I hear you saying about where you're going with your artwork, it's like I could be totally off here, but it seems like you're building up your skills in all these areas that will eventually lead you to a place to where you can entirely paint this reality, maybe. You know what I mean? Like kind
Yeah.
of, and it's like I could really see your reality, you know, as a movie, or you know, kind of like what I'm doing with my reality with a dystopia book. But is that something that I mean, every artist is painting their reality basically, but I could see, you know, with your background in film as well, I could see that translating into something
Yeah.
like that. And it
I
seems like,
think
you know, you could eventually.
I think about that every once in a while. I did a little creature design uh, freelance gig like a couple months ago. Someone hit me up. They're like, "Oh, we're doing this short film and we want you to design our monster." And I'm like, you know, no one ever wants me to design their monster. And you know, they actually wanted me. They wanted my weird stuff. They wanted me to go all out and make something really bizarre,
Hmm.
and they were pretty hands off.
That's
And
cool.
they're like, "We want it weird. We want your stuff." And so I did, and it was really fun. Finally, having someone that would just let me do whatever
Right.
I wanted. So I really just kind of let loose and made these fucking weird monsters. Like no one's ever gonna want to put these monsters in their film. Like they're ridiculous, and they loved them.
That's
So
so cool.
so there was this moment of like, oh, I love the film industry. You know, we're good friends after all. You know.
That's where I'm at too, man. I'm the same boat. I'm like, I know all these people. I know writers. I know
Yeah,
cinematographers. I know computer people. I know effects
totally,
people.
totally.
I know, yeah, every aspect. I
So
know
I
costumers.
I had that moment of like, God, I should totally hit up my friends and we should like start writing a movie. And you
Right.
know, like it's in there. It's definitely part of me.
Okay.
I can't escape it.
I think that's a good thing. I think it's awesome.
But it's not really.
It's not the main
It's not
goal.
part of the plan.
Right. Right.
I definitely want to paint. You know, like you were saying, I do want to be able to come up with a whole crazy scenario and make an entire painting. Um, but you know, we watched Evil Dead last night. And we watched both of them, Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2, to compare and contrast.
Mm-hmm.
God, the first one is so good.
Oh, it's amazing.
And it just like the whole time I'm watching this, I'm like, God, I want to make a movie.
They spent
And
like, what was the budget on that? It was basically,
not very much, you
yeah, a
know.
bunch of people got together, Sam Raimi and Rob Tappert, the producer, I think, and their friends, a few of their friends, and they just fucking made a movie.
Yeah,
Like shot it on 16 millimeter or something, I think,
yeah.
and it's
So
great.
I I definitely want to get into that more, and that's also one of the things it's on my like
Dream
stepping
list,
stone
yeah.
list. Is I want to start experimenting with film. I want to make weird little Eraserhead style
Right,
experimental short films, you know. Uh,
definitely.
and I do want to get back into CG. I want to mix and match all of that, and I want to sculpt and make weird little puppets and combine all of it. Also, music.
Same here.
Yeah, yeah, you're a musician. We've been trying to have like music night and recording just
Oh,
really
cool.
stupid shit, you know, just ridiculous stuff. But
What do you play?
lately, just like synthesizers.
Oh, cool. I love
I used to
synthesizers.
do the guitar, and then I've just really been on a synthesizer kick for like, I don't know, the past 7 years or so. And I don't know, it's fun. And
It's
I
great.
love film scores. I love, uh, cinematic stuff.
Hmm.
I love like post rock, you know, stuff without vocals.
Hmm.
Like that's predominantly what I listened to in the first place. So,
Hmm.
and then like weird synth pop and doomy stuff. And I don't know, like I totally would love to do film scores or make weird little films with
Right.
weird music, you know, like it all
Totally,
plays
man.
together. Like it all just feels the same to me, you know. Like I
Yeah.
want animation so that I can add weird music to it.
Right.
You know, it all ties together. So we'll see. I don't know where it's gonna go. I don't know. But you know, I'm
Yeah.
also one of those people that has way too many hobbies and interests. So like
Yeah.
maybe I need to tone it down and just pick one. I
That's
don't know.
that's what I mean. When I when I started doing the fine art thing, that's what I decided I was going to do. I was like, okay, the band. I was in a band for 10 years. That didn't work. It's over. Computer animation. I got burnt out on that because I ended up,
Yeah.
I just got burnt out. No more. I was like, put it all aside. And it's like I'm gonna.
Yeah.
I because at that point I had a house. Like I bought a house and I had kids and everything. So I was
Yeah.
like, if I'm going to do this fine art thing, I can't afford not to make decent money at it at least.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I have to put my full focus on fine art. And so it was like, that's why I didn't do any music or anything for, probably 10 years or something. Well, I was just
Mhm.
like completely just doing it, nose to the grindstone, reading about art marketing, how to sell your work, how to promote, blah, blah, blah. I was just grinding it because it was the only way I was going to be able to support this art habit, and, do what I really wanted to do. So then, when I started making some money and making a living at it, then I like picked the guitar back up and I got a bass and I was like, oh man, I fucking love playing music so much. I so miss this. And then I started kind of writing music. So then I started bringing the hobbies back a little bit. I got a synthesizer. I got a little, was it Arturio Micro Brute? Like, I got one of those because they're cheap. And it's like, oh man, it's so awesome. So I'm like, I'm still not at a point where like I can't let myself start playing video games or anything, or I'm still focused. I'm still like, because I'm not career wise. It's like I'm not to a place yet where I want to be, to where I want to get to a place where I don't have to fucking work 7 days a week. 12 hours a day. That's where I want to get to.
Totally.
And it's like, until I get there, I'm going to keep going straight ahead on that, so, but I look forward to the day when I can collect synthesizers. I'm so into synthesizers. I just drool. I go on YouTube and watch synthesizer demo videos for hours. I'm just like, ugh.
Yeah, do the same thing.
I've been into synthesizers since the 70s, when I first heard Devo, when I was like 12. And I'm like, before the Freedom of Choice album, Devo, like the first two, and all the hardcore Devo, the weird shit. That's when I got into synthesizers, and I actually saved my money up and bought a realistic put out a mini Moog.
Yeah.
You know that one?
The MG1, I think.
Yeah, I saved all my money and bought one when I was like 13 years old. I still have it. It needs to be like repaired and stuff. The pots are all scratchy.
Those are worth a lot of money now.
Really?
Well,
probably not in the condition it's in, but there's places that you can get them fixed in LA for sure. But I spent so much time with that thing. I loved it. So I've had this love affair with synthesizers, and my fantasy since I was a kid. So my fantasy is like, someday I'm going to have a room of just analog synths that I collect. Oh, yeah. That would be the dream, right?
I want that. But when I'm to the point where I finally have a house, I'm gonna have like
the synth
custom
room.
Build my studio, and then I'm totally gonna have a synth room that's wall to wall modular synth.
Yeah. Oh
man, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
Carlos does that stuff a lot.
Carlos Swante?
One time I went into his studio when we were working together, and like just wanted to check in, see what he was drawing, like be annoying and fanboy.
Yeah.
What are you doing, Carlos? He had music playing. And I'm like, wow, what are you listening to? It sounded really good. It was very like synthy, kind of Red Sparrows-y sort of stuff, and he was just listening to his own music.
Oh, wow.
He's like constantly like just using software, soft synths and stuff, and making soundtracks, or he'll do like a demo video and he'll just add his own music to it and then just like listen to it. Or like he said when he was working on Prometheus, he would make songs to listen to draw.
Oh, that's...
So it was kind of like a soundtrack that he would just listen to.
That's pretty amazing. That's an interesting idea.
Yeah, so like, I don't know. There's ways to incorporate it without going whole hog,
Yeah.
You don't have to like ditch everything, but
it's hard to find.
Kind of figure it all out. It's all new to me still, so
it's hard to find the time. That's my thing. Just to where you're like, even giving yourself a day. For me, giving myself a day to let myself play.
Yeah.
On the like I got Logic on my computer, and it's like I know it a little bit, enough to kind of like piece something together. It's like just a day to do that is, because I've got all these things I gotta do.
What we've been trying to do is having different nights. So like we'll have one night a week where it's reading night. Mm-hmm. And after work, after we're all done, we'll just like get our books out and read for the night with,
That's a
you
good
know,
idea.
and then one night a week we would have music night where we just turn all the shit on and turn the recorder on and just make a bunch of noise and see what happens, you know.
That's cool.
And then we have stuff recorded that we can then someday maybe turn it into a real song,
Right.
pick pieces out and turn it in, just jamming basically.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's fun. It's really inspiring. But you know, there's you you always run into that problem where it's like, I have this deadline
Yeah.
and I don't really feel like it, and you
Yeah.
let it slip once, and then the next thing you know, it's been 2 months, you know.
Yeah.
So it's
Exactly.
always a struggle, but I don't know. I'm trying.
Yeah. We-
You gotta try.
You got to try. That's another thing I miss is reading, man. I used to fucking read so much when I was a kid, and I've always been I love it. I love reading so much, and there's never
Yeah,
time, and
so
I do books on tape, but they're not the same. I'd rather
yeah,
read.
my big thing right now that I'm battling with, both of us here, is the phone. Like
Right.
being self-employed and this new age of social media, you know, I'm reliant on social media, so I have to
Yep.
obsess over it. And it's to the point now where it's like the phone is killing me.
I'm
It's
with
killing
you.
all of us,
I
everyone.
know. I know.
You look around, you go out, you get on the subway or the bus or something, literally every human around you is glued to their screen.
Yep.
So we're really trying to get off of our screens completely, get off the computer, detox, get off the phone,
Yep.
just turn it off, literally turn it off for the entire day and work because it's
Right.
affecting work, it's affecting my attention span,
Me too.
all of it. I'm trying to figure out how to focus, like, you know, I don't want to get on medication, you know. I don't
Right.
want to take Ritalin. I don't want
Yeah.
to I don't want to take antidepressants. I don't want to like mask all of the stuff that really is coming from computers and social
Totally,
media.
man.
That's really one of the big things that I'm battling right now, trying to overcome for my art and for my like health.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think maybe people are starting to catch on a little. I hope.
I've like I don't know how long it's been, but I just have been I don't it's maybe been I used to be on social media all the time, promoting constantly, like
Yeah.
all the time, like multiple times a day I'd be checking in. And I got to a point where I got so sick of hearing everybody's goddamn opinion about everything. It's
Yeah.
so
Yeah. It's not
irritating.
good.
And it
It's
was
not actually
yeah.
healthy for
No,
us.
no, and it just put me in such a bad mood all the time that
Yeah.
I haven't been on like I used to. I just kind of stopped.
Yeah.
And my social media has suffered a bit, like getting my, because I'm trying to build my numbers on Instagram because I'm trying to get
Yeah.
people onto Patreon and blah, blah, blah. But I just couldn't take it. I'm just like, I got to stop. I can't deal with it anymore. So I just have not been on there like I used to. And I feel a lot better.
Yeah.
I notice a
Yeah.
difference for sure. I'm so much in
It
a better
helps.
headspace.
There was a period I turned my phone off for what, like 3 days. And oh,
Wow.
it was like
That
it was
seems
a
like such a
world of
big thing.
difference. It's like, so
I,
now I want to just like go out into the woods for a week at a time and not
right.
even have the option, like I feel like humanity needs to reconnect with nature and the world.
Definitely.
We gotta, it's not going well.
No.
Like there's good aspects. Knowing the struggles in the world is good, and there are benefits happening from it.
Definitely.
There's change that's happening that would only happen because of that.
Yep.
which is great. But
Absolutely.
we're also getting to the point where we're all taking on everyone's struggles to
Right.
where we're overwhelmed and, people are basically suicidal.
Right.
They're just
Everybody's
like,
miserable. Yeah.
everything fucking sucks.
Yep.
Everything is shit, and I'm just gonna stay in bed all day.
Yeah.
And being self-employed, it definitely doesn't help.
Yeah.
You
Right.
have the option of staying in bed all day.
I know.
So yeah, I'm trying to detach and connect with my art, and it's hard, but it's exciting too. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like, social media and the internet has given us these huge, amazing benefits and huge, horrible anti-benefits. The
Yeah,
same, like in equal measure. So it's like it's more of everything. It seems like, and
yeah,
it's,
yeah.
but
I don't know where it's gonna go.
I
Like
don't either.
the gallery world is definitely struggling, and I'm
Hmm.
pretty sure it's solely because of social media
Oh,
and the
for
internet.
sure. Yeah.
But it's great for the artist at the same time. Like I heard someone say recently that we're experiencing a golden age in art right now.
Hmm.
And I think that's true.
Definitely.
I think we're in the midst of something that we've never seen before.
For sure.
It's
Totally.
easy to take it for
100%.
granted
Yeah.
because, like a lot of these people came from comic books and film and sort of, not from the fine art world, but like I think this is big. I think in the future we're going to be looking back at this and like there's a pretty big thing. There's
Definitely.
more amazing art being made every single day than I think there ever has been
Right.
before. So that's cool.
Right. Exactly. It's like you get that, and then at the same time you get, everybody
We're all
sharing.
broke.
What's that?
All of us are broke.
Right. No, I mean, but you're getting that, and you have the potential to be your own boss,
Yeah,
promote yourself. I mean, the idea of taking an ad out in an art magazine in like the 70s or the 60s, you had to have thousands of dollars to take an ad
yeah,
out to promote yourself. Now you could do it for free. On the other hand, though, you're getting, just what it's like. The thing that drives me nuts is like people don't think, and I'm guilty of this as well. People don't think of what they're putting out there on their social media feeds. They just an idea. They're pissed, they're depressed, and
yeah,
they want to get it out and share it. And so they just put you just. It's like social media is like what everybody's always thinking, and we
yeah,
didn't used to have to deal with everybody's thoughts all the time.
yeah,
So now it's like we're dealing with everybody's thoughts and how
yeah,
fucked bummed they are, or how pissed they are, or how stupid this person is, or all the
yeah,
animals that are being killed in this fire,
yeah.
and it's just
I
like this
can't handle that.
barrage of negativity, and it's like you gotta separate yourself for your own sanity to some degree, or you just get sucked down,
Yeah,
you get sucked into it.
yeah.
But
So
anyway,
yeah, I'm going for no screens, no more screens. I think
yeah,
screens are rotting our brains. Uh,
I'm with you. It's a matter of balancing it,
oh yeah, look at
you know.
this. I got as part of. You see that?
Oh, a Walkman. Wait, I
Yeah.
got I got to screen grab that too. Wait, pulled it up again.
This is all
Right.
part of the plan, and I'm going old school. I'm going
Hold on a
cassette
second.
tapes and
Shit, what is this?
VHS.
What? Oh, control. Okay, I got it. Hold on. Hold it. Hold it. Hold it. That's excellent. Oh man, I remember when I remember getting my first Walkman when they first came out the first year,
Oh
and
wow.
it wasn't even a cassette; it was a radio only, and that was
Yeah.
like,
AM/FM.
yeah, it was amazing. But yeah,
Yeah, man, I've been just like making my own mixtapes basically, and
that's cool.
just listen to it. I don't have to worry about, oh, I got a notification on what's on my phone. Oh, and next thing you know, I'm reading the news.
Yeah, right. Yep.
Uh,
Things are horrible. I forgot for a minute. Everything's
oh yeah,
terrible.
the world sucks.
But that's the
So
thing,
yeah,
because it doesn't. It doesn't
no, it
suck.
doesn't.
And it appears to suck. It's like
Yeah,
there's so much amazing stuff happening, but all the news is just negative. So
yeah,
I'm
yeah. It's amplified. You
yeah.
amplify the negative, and uh, uh,
Ah.
over it.
Yes. Well, this is a good point to quit. We're almost at 2 hours here. So see,
Oh wow,
wasn't that easy? It wasn't hard,
yeah,
was it?
super easy.
Told you. Never doubt me again.
Chet's always right.
Well, yeah, that was a really fun interview, and I appreciate you taking this time out and sitting in
Yeah,
front of a screen for
yeah.
me and for the audience. People are going to dig this. Uh, I'll put all your links and whatever you want to promote in the description. But where can people find you online? Just for people that are listening right now.
Mostly Instagram, predominantly Instagram, just Nathan Wright, and then my
How
website,
do you spell it?
uh,
Your last name.
Nathan Reidt.
Okay.
It's pronounced Wright.
Okay.
I think people are confused a lot.
Yeah, I thought it was a
It's not Reddit.
reet or right. Okay.
So
And
yeah, just nathanwright.com, and that's my like website and my store all in one. So
excellent.
that's it. I'm on Facebook, but man, I hate Facebook.
It's the worst. It's
But I'm on there if you want to hang out with me on Facebook. You can.
it's such a hellhole.
Yeah.
That's the main one that I kind of got
Yeah,
off.
that one's become even
I
worse.
know.
Like, ugh.
I know. It's a bitch. Well, anyway, let's not get pulled back into that negative
And then-
bullshit. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Huge fan of your work. People should buy Nathan's work because he's so good. I'm telling you, he's gonna be. If you buy just for, even if you buy for investment sake. Some people buy for investment. Not many in this scene do, but
Yeah.
sometimes that can be the deciding factor of a sale.
Yeah.
Nathan's stuff is going to be valuable, I believe, in the future. So I'm just saying, think of it like a stock tip. That's my opinion.
All right. See what happens. I got my fingers crossed.
Yes. Well, a big part of art careers burgeoning or flowering into becoming like a big name artist. A lot of time comes from artists that part of that is you have to keep creating the art. You have to be dedicated
Yeah.
to it. And some
Yeah.
people can't hang because it's a really hard lifestyle. And you seem like
That's true.
you're in for the long haul. So to me,
Yeah, I mean, I'm doing this no matter what,
right,
'cause I have no choice.
exactly.
But yeah, uh,
So you'll be
it,
around. Your work will be around, and so you
I'll
should.
be around in one capacity or another for
Yep.
sure. And it's always going to be weird stuff. I
Yep.
know that.
Good. Excellent. All right. Well, thanks again for coming on. People,
Yeah,
I'm gonna remind people, if you want to join the Dark Art Society Patreon, you could join for just $1 a month at patreon.com/Dark Art Society. Yeah, that's it. And okay. All right. So don't hang up, but let's say goodbye to the audience.
yeah. Thanks again, Chet. This is a rad podcast.
I'm glad.
Everyone benefits from it. That's amazing. So
Cool. Appreciate
thank you
that.
so much.
Thank you so much. Okay.
And yeah, goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye, everybody.